I wanted to be an artist, but that is not the path I ended up taking at all because of financial reasons.
Daniel grew up believing passion would save him. It didn't. In fact, it almost wrecked his life. He didn't choose art or tech. Poverty chose for him.
I was the first person in my family to go through to get a higher education. And so a lot of borrowing, a lot of debt. We were not a well-off family at all. We were very much in the poverty, deep, deep in poverty. So I remember back then it was a Yahoo search, but I just was trying to figure out what paid salary at all because I knew I had to pay that debt off. And I went into computer science instead of doing anything aligned with my passion. And I remember thinking back then too, like, how hard could this be? What is it? Hopefully, what kind of job even is this? I really had no idea.
When you grow up financially broke, passion isn't a career path. It's a luxury. Creatives don't have to quit their dream, but often life corners them somewhere else.
I wanted to be an artist. I love sketching and drawing and painting and all those types of creative things. And I just remember every moment I could sketch, I would do it. Even when I was supposed to be paying attention in class, I would be doodling and doing things like that, which I find my daughter does that. And I love how creative her notes are when I look through what she's doing. So I guess that gene passed on in some way.
Maybe you tell yourself it's temporary, but temporary has a way of becoming your whole life.
But I just remember, going through that field and being really delighted how much creativity I ended up getting to use in my day job because there's a design aspect to what you're doing, both from a coding standpoint, but also from a UI design, user experience, just like designing a system, a database. There's a lot of creativity involved in it. There's some art hidden in the science. And plus, as I scaled up and started working at really large companies, I worked at tiny companies, middle size, and then eventually I was working at Microsoft and Google's, the big ones. Wow. And when I was working there would be these design pods with all of the best creatives. And it was just so much fun to go and immerse myself in that and to bring all that together under programs, which is what my main job became, was a program lead. But yeah, to answer your question, I was always hoping to be more as an artist or someone that in that field, but I decided because of practical reason, I couldn't make that work financially. And now I'm trying to support my son, who is actually, he's in his first year of college right now.
Is that Gavin?
And he is, Gavin. Yeah. And he's pursuing a degree in visual communications. And so he is trying to, do more of the route I was looking to do. And
debt doesn't just drain your bank account. It drains your identity. People think artists fail because they're not good enough. Most fail because they're financially cornered.
I'm living a little vicariously.
Yeah, I saw that he had some books that were up on Amazon and things that he'd been working on, and I guess he's done some illustration work also.
Oh, he's so amazing at it. I mean, his cover art, he is my exclusive designer for cover arts for my books. So all the art in Escape the Clock was done by him. My new book that's coming out, which is a speculative science fiction book, he just knocked out the cover art in a couple hours, and it was better than anything I could have imagined. I don't know how he does it. It's really good. Yeah, all of his books are on Amazon. They're all self-published. It was a kind of a fire that got lit in him at an early age. He was born premature. My wife ended up with HELLP syndrome, and her life was at risk, as was his. So they did an emergency cesarean at 7 months. So he comes out as 2 pounds, 3 ounces. You can see through the skin. It's just really scary to imagine a little life like that and how they're going to survive. But, he was fighting for his life the whole time from the beginning. He had a PDA, heart surgery, had to do all those things. But I just remember, you couldn't interact with them, right? They're in a NICU. Right. They're in plastic. This is our first kid. So we're young new parents, and we're just praying to God that he's going to be fine. And we're just watching and hoping that we, will be able to make it to the other side. And all I could think to do besides that was read. And so I just read books to him through the NICU container. I just read. And I continued that when we brought him home finally. After 2 months, we finally bring him home. And I just continued reading. And it became this kind of ritual in our home. We'd read everything, like C.S. Lewis, everything we could find. Right. Just read it all. He just started writing, and he just came down to my office one day and he's like, "Hey, I wrote something. I want you to read it." And it was a 7-chapter book.
Oh, wow.
With a beginning, a middle, and an end.
How old did you say he was?
No, 7. Oh, wow. He was 7 years old when he did that. And I blew my mind. I didn't really think he was writing at all. I knew he was learning it. But, it was very derivative of some of the stuff we had been reading at the time. I remember we were reading a lot of like Redwall, which is like a classic series. It focused on animals kind of as people doing funny riddles and stories and stuff. Right. Anyways, that had really inspired him. There's some Harry Potter in there too, I think. But it became this book, and I got so excited. I'm like, let's write one together, and we collaborated. It became this massive trilogy that we wrote. It took years to write all 3 of those books and get them out there. But then he just started just doing it on his own. Right. And he got to a point where he was self-publishing 3 books a year. I think he has 15 of them now total, and these are real books. Like, these are not, you would not think he's 19 now, but you wouldn't think a young person wrote them. The degree of, maturity, the writing and a lot of that stuff. So they were quite good, but he did the art for all of his books. And he put so much effort into everything from the typography to the space layout, to the margins, to the formatting, to making sure the negative space has balance. He's thinking about all of it. And he's so surpassed me on all those things. And it's actually really fun to watch your kids surpass you.
This is where most creatives break, when the dream feels childish and the bills feel endless and real. Daniel didn't get lucky. He got intentional. He realized passion without a plan isn't noble. It's a trap.
I did. I wrote one, mostly at his encouragement. He's like, "Dad, you wrote a finance book. That's going to be helpful, but it's not exactly what I'm excited to read." So I completely get that. Yeah, I understand. But, I wanted to get that stuff out of my head, right? It was 20 years of learning on my side, building something that became this jewel. So I needed to get that out there. And that book did really well. Escape the Clock won like 3 awards, and it was a bestseller for quite a while. Like, it did really well. And so I know, putting my heart into that paid off, and that's going to really help him, because I need him to understand that just following your passion isn't enough to be okay financially. Like, there's other things you need to do. Like, you cannot just think you can put as much hard work and into the craft and that things are just going to magically work out. I have to burst that bubble a little bit. But besides that, he was like, go write the thing you want to write. I know you always talk about these books. I have a backlog of probably 12 book ideas at this point. So I focused on one that I thought was timely, and I did finish it. It's done. He's actually pilot editing it for me right now, and just finished the art, but it's going to probably be out in about 2 months. And I'm really excited about that book. And, it's completely different than a finance book, which is a good change of pace.
I love what you said there, though, too, because, I think that a lot of creatives fall into this trap that you briefly alluded to, that, yeah, Dad, you wrote a finance book, but that's not what excites me. How many people out there are not excited by the finance end of things? They want to focus only on the creative end of things. You don't have to choose between art and survival. You just can't build your life on hope alone. The dream doesn't die, it evolves, if you let it. If you want to create for the rest of your life, you need a plan, not just permission.
Yeah, great question. And it's the thing I wrestle with both my kids, who are creative types, and I want them to be okay. I know you're familiar with the book, The Richest Man in Babylon.
One of my favorites, yep.
Great book, full of sage advice and wisdom. And that's the kind of thing that made an impression on me when I was going through my self-education journey, because we all start in ignorance. And if we live in ignorance, that ignorance will be preyed upon. And that's what I see quite often. And look, it's no one's fault. We're doing the best we can in a system, honestly, really designed to kind of keep people in into situations The debt situation is a great example of that. It's a very like leverage heavy system, which is designed to compound against you if you're not careful. Anyways, when you understand that there's all these like really sage pieces of advice and wisdom out there that really work, you can actually build a system around that.
Right.
And when you have a system in place, you can do what you love and that income that you're making. And maybe it's freelance, it's not coming in as often, or maybe it's a more of a salary thing. It doesn't matter. Whatever that income is, when you know how to optimize that decision tree in your head about what to do with the cash and make it flow properly, now you're making every single dollar work for you, right? Some of it, there's three things you can do with a dollar. You can spend it, you can save it, or you can give it. And a lot of people feel like they end up spending and that's all they can do. 100% of that paycheck gets spent. And then, I can't save, I can't give. I can only give if I'm rich. I can only save when I'm not living paycheck to paycheck. Well, the truth is there is more of a margin in there than you think. Because the truth is we as humans are very good at spending everything we're given.
Right.
Brent, if I gave you even like, let's say $5,000, I'm sure you could find a way to spend it.
You wouldn't even know where it went within one day.
We're very talented at that part. And that's why the system is designed in the way it is. The way that advertising works, the way that incentives work, the gamification that we're seeing, and like apps, investing is becoming more popular with younger people. And things like Robinhood is doing really, really well because it realized they can hyper focus on social and gamification of something like that aspect. But then it turns it into a casino,
right,
and not into a financial device. So what my solution, I guess, for myself was blow away the ignorance by educating myself. It took me 20 years of reading books, and I ended up with 7 different financial advisors throughout that time. And it was interesting. I was going through and I was making mistakes, but I was also doing well. And the reason I know that is because I put everything together into a program plan, not just a simple plan, but a program plan. I was a program manager. And there's a reason these big companies hire people like me to make programs. Mm-hmm. It's because it creates that system that you so need to align everyone on that hard, complex objective. And if that complex objective is your own financial independence, well, there's no objective better to take on in my mind, because once you achieve that goal, the reward is your time. And think about all the things you can do with your time. It's amazing. Because when we slave away and give our time away, and it's not just to jobs, it can be to family, it can be to a cause. And look, there's a lot of great ways to give your time away, fulfilling and mission-driven ways. But if you're always deprioritizing yourself and you're never truly feeling like you have the energy left to do the things that you want to do, well, guess what? If you go on autopilot and you do that long enough, and you eventually will have fate forced upon you, either through a forced retirement or sadly maybe a layoff, whatever it is. And when that happens, there's usually a wake-up call. And that wake-up call is, who am I without this work? And what am I okay financially? And what do I do with all this time? And usually the answer is not very satisfying at that point because of age. If you wait too long and get a plethora of time, then you don't have the age and exuberance and energy to go do the things that you've been deprioritizing. So if you can, financial independence is a way to get that time back earlier so that you still have your passion and the health in place. So you can avoid I started my book with the big 5 retirement regrets. They're very well studied. And they're actually really fascinating. And they almost always come down to time mismanagement. I wish I had done better with this or that back then. There's a lot of like looking back regret. Of course, I mean, you're talking to people at the end of their lives usually, or in their retirement golden age. And so people are usually frustrated by that. And so they wish they had done something different. They hadn't worked quite as much. They had, made that move. They had, figured out how much was enough and then stopped. Things like that. So that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to take all these amazing things I was learning. I wanted to package it into a comprehensive book, because there's like 1,000 great books you could read, but I can't get my kid to go read 7 finance books.
No.
There's no way. There's just no way. But if I can give him one book that has all those best tidbits in it, and then teaches him how to put it together in a personal way, because your financial independence is personal to you. Mine is personal to me. Everyone's is personal. Like there's no two, they don't look the same because we have different lives. We have different needs. We have different standards, different goals. And so once we understand which of these strategies worked for our personal risk profile, for our individual needs, our uncertainties, whatever it is, it's like we all start with a raw stone block and we have to chip it away to get to the beautiful statue underneath that is unique to us. But we have to figure out how to go chip that away. And so I was trying to give the tools to go do that. And that's what that book became. And I think that's why it did so well. It won so many awards and all that, because it is this thing that just says, here's the whole landscape for you. It gives you enough information so that ignorance is gone and you can feel empowered to go and get some control of getting your time back earlier.
And if you want to support the program, please like, subscribe, and hey, check out some of my books. They're over there at lightmindedarts.com. Catch you next time.